Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life.
Hats.
Yeah, hi, mate. Hey, Brenda, how you doing, man?
I'm good, mate.
Yeah, always this horrible pause.
Yeah.
It makes me feel really uncomfortable, and then there we go.
Well, it's that, or I just hit record when you're not ready, which I particularly like.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's
right.
fun. So fortunately for everybody listening, or anybody listening, yeah, sorry, I'll get closer.
Yeah.
I'll touch the mic. I'll bring it closer. All the things I'm
good.
Fortunately for everybody listening, it's not just you and me tonight.
No.
So we did have a guest planned, and the guest that we had planned couldn't make it. He's going to come on in a couple of weeks.
Do we want to talk about that?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
But it's going to be good. But it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I'm thinking about our delivery.
Oh, that's a whole other thing. We can talk about that after as well, right?
Yeah,
But
okay.
no, that's not happened either. So tonight, in some ways,
hang on. We need to explain that. So we were.
Apologies to the guest. We shall introduce you shortly.
So sorry, mate. We were meant to be getting. We've been talking about Hats the cow that we've bought a portion of, getting slaughtered and butchered and cryovac'd and delivered by
Beef back better.
Beef Back Better. Amazing. Really exciting. He was coming today. Couldn't quite make it, so we've had to postpone it to next week. The plan was, or we thought what we were going to do was actually get out a piece of hats, and we'll still do this, I think. Get out a piece of hats, throw hats on the... Oh, and sorry, guest. I named the cow hats.
Yep, my mouth is watering. It's good. Bring it on.
Yeah. Going to cook it on the pod and eat hats on the pod, but we'll do that eventually.
Yes. So that was one. The other guest has cancelled on us because because business is going well and they need to speak to us in a couple of weeks, which is totally cool.
Yes.
And the person we have sitting on the screen just right now, we have been trying to get on the pod for, I don't know, might be since the beginning.
Yeah, pretty much, I think.
Sven, how are you, mate?
Sven who?
Yeah, Sven who indeed.
Star Fury.
Yeah, they call me Sven Star Fury.
Sven Star Fury. That's the Twitter handle, right?
Yeah, Star Fury Flames.
Star Fury
Twitter.
Flames, excuse me. Yes.
Yeah.
So here's my stupid. All the stupid things first. Because we met you at Miranda, the first one, at the Bush Bash, and when I found out that the name and whatever, and I've been following your work, I just thought that the name came from How to Train Your Dragon, until today. And I looked up and I was like, oh, I'm just a moron. That is.
Oh, so you actually thought?
No, I thought that until about an hour and a half ago.
What is it? Oh, Night Fury.
Night Fury.
Yeah.
Do you know what
right.
Yeah, Night Fury. Yeah. So
no, my daughter's watched the movie recently, and she reminded me that it was the Night Fury in that. But as someone who's online, as a youngster, you always have to pick a handle and or a name for yourself. So I played a lot of video games and Quake and stuff. So went through a succession of names, and now that you saw that video from before, that now you know where the Flames connection comes in. But the thing with Star Fury, actually, it has this meaning for me of like star as in light, as in knowledge, and fury as in like righteous rage. So the idea of it is like the burning, cleansing flames of truth. That's what the Star Fury means.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Not to be
so
too.
Hang on, but you've had that since since you're a young gamer, is what you're telling us, right? That's pretty deep for a young gamer.
Yeah, well, I'm in my 20s and stuff. There was a DJ name and stuff like that. So yeah.
So what's the gaming link though between Star Fury?
Oh, there's no particular gaming link, but I did play a lot of Quake.
Oh, so it was like a username or something.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Do you still play?
No, I play chess now. I just recently in the last month or two got right into. I used to still play a bit of Quake Champions, but chess is actually really good. It complements all the rendering that I have to do, because sometimes I have to wait 10 minutes for a render, and it's really easy to jump on chess.com and pick any length of game. And I've improved heaps over the last month or so.
There's quite a Bitcoin chess overlap as well. There's a few people in.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a few. Let me think.
Cool.
God, I'm pretty sure Stefan plays. There's somebody. Let me think of that through.
Stefan who? He's left the country.
Yeah, Stefan left the country. Yeah,
Yeah, we don't talk about him anymore.
Stefan left the country. That's the second name.
So
there's a few.
Yeah, you've become obviously fairly prominent with a lot of your work, right? So do you want to explain, I guess, what kind of stuff you're currently doing or have been doing in the
Yeah,
Bitcoin space?
I should.
And how you got there from like how have these two worlds met?
Yeah, I should get there chronologically because it was 2017 I got into Bitcoin, like towards the end of the year, and I don't know, I got right into it. Like I was so primed for it with, you know, I'd done some Austrian economics stuff before that and was very libertarian and had all this sort of, and you know, I studied software engineering at uni. So once I finally like really just even looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, this is the fucking thing. So I was just all out, you know, and at the end of 2017, you know, traded some shitcoins. I'd never invested in anything. I was just a poor hippie dude. I never had any money to invest anyway. But very, very quickly realized like, you know, Bitcoin is the thing, and it kind of replaced my previous things. And, you know, you get on Bitcoin Twitter then, and I was like, you know, well, how can I contribute to this? And
Hang on. Back that up a second. So you worked this out purely off your own back and then hit Twitter? Is that what you're telling us?
So how did it was just a friend of mine, like he was actually a duffer as well, like another psychedelic festival person, and he's like, buy some Bitcoin, you know, and he just made me buy some and forced me to look at it more deeply. And you know, I looked at some, you know, you look at the Antonopoulos videos and stuff like that, but it didn't take me long at all. And so yeah, I mean, since then I'm all in.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense, but it's
impressive.
Are you an impulsive person, or you just worked out quickly, or?
Oh, no, I worked it out quickly because one of the in my early 20s, I followed this YouTube philosopher guy, Stefan Molyneux. He's been since unpersoned, you know, got kicked off Twitter and everything else. But he actually had Antonopoulos on in like 2015, and like, which is quite ahead of the ball. But he also talked a lot about Austrian economics, even, you know, pre-Bitcoin, and like that's what I mean. I was just really primed for hard money. I was always a freedom maximalist, and you know, I was a narco-capitalist, like hardcore narco-capitalist, before I'd even really heard of Bitcoin. So once it was there, I was like, oh, this like achieves all the, you know, philosophical and sort of aims that I have anyway. So yeah, like it was very, very quick conversion once I saw it and understood it.
So you're always looking for the tool, and then all of a sudden somebody shows you the tool.
Yeah.
You knew what the job was. You just didn't know how. Yeah, I gotcha.
And like what I meant about like, you know, anyone who grew up in the early 2000s and used the internet, and if you use BitTorrent, you know, and when I got to university and like fucking what was it called? Napster was the thing, you know, and it was the first time I had like just a fat internet connection. This was like the year 2000 or something like that, and just downloaded all the music. But I saw that period where I think the guy from Metallica sued Napster or something.
Yeah,
and
Lars Ulrich.
Yeah. But I saw Napster go down, and I saw the ascendance of BitTorrent, and you know, even though they would try and you know, do stuff to stop that, I could see that it wasn't successful, and BitTorrent is still going strong, and you can still find the Pirate Bay if you want, and so, you know, 10, 15 or 20 years later, when Bitcoin came along, I was like, well, yeah, I've seen the proof of concept that this sort of technology can't be stopped. So yeah, I didn't take much convincing at all, and all the science fiction and cyberpunk sort of stuff that I read as a teenager in my early 20s, it was all paving the way for this, like your Snow Crash from Neil Stephenson and stuff like that. So yeah, well primed.
Yes.
Yeah, you're just ready for it. It's so funny because you have this bias, and we have this. Everybody, I think, probably has the bias of how you think people got here because of how you got here. And my story is totally different from that. I was like a public sector guy who traded stocks, and then post 2008, I was probably as angry as you were, but I was doing it in a entirely different way. And I was like, well, they're not going to let the banks fail. I'm just going to ride this wave because, you know, they're just the shit coiner of the day, really. And then after that, just watching it going, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And then the solution was presented to me, but totally different stories, but ending up in the same place, which is, I mean, yours is more noble.
Yeah.
you were looking before I was looking. You know, my way was shit. But I'm glad I got here.
Yeah. Okay, so chronologically, so we kind of took you on a tangent then.
So that was 2017, 2018. Like, you know, I spent like the first 3-6 months on Twitter, and you know, a couple of hundred followers or whatever, and you know, you want to contribute and be part of the conversation. And I'm not sure how it happened that I got the idea to install After Effects. I mean, I'd done some graphics stuff for the business we'd owned previously. We had a little organic muesli business and did the farmers markets, and it was, you know, we had our own factory space, and it was good. But I did all the graphics myself, and like self-taught in Illustrator and whatever. And the video that you saw of the fire dancing, that was, you know, something I'd done in Premiere. I edited it together, and you know, I just had some facility with that sort of software. And yeah, I just had the idea to make a little animation. You know, I think the first one was the fuck fiat or something, little bouncing letters, and that was in After Effects. And you know, then did a couple of rip-offs of like some Banksy things, you know, just kind of I've always used this sort of software, and you know, love to learn the tools. And yeah, it's really satisfying. I find, like, you know, I'm 40 now, but I found my thing, the thing that I can be really good at, and it seems to bring together all these skills that I've had over a lifetime. And so it's kind of an exciting time for me, because you know, any new it's exciting to be at the bottom of a new learning curve, because like progress is fast, and you know, it's kind of satisfying that way. So yeah.
So it's obviously a creative outlet for you as well. So it's something you actually are passionate about, not just learning for utility, but you're actually enjoying doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
The business that we used, like, I dropped out of software engineering at uni. I discovered partying. So, and then I was a chef, and I worked in restaurants and stuff, and really was the kind of job that you could still continue the partying lifestyle. And then I had this period where I was just a psychedelic warrior, fire dancer, hippie, duffer guy, and got quite good at that as well. We were doing those shows, and after the European tour that my partner and I did, touring that fire show, we came back to Australia, and we're like, well, what do we do now? You know, like, you don't really make any money in fire dancing.
What sort of age are you then, Sven? What kind of age were you then?
I was probably like 30.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just around 30. Yeah, we got back to Australia, and it's like we had a few $1,000s to our name, and we thought we'd have a crack at this organic muesli business. And yeah, we built that up over 5 or 6 years, and managed to sell it. And that, you know, and then then after that, we sold pretty much all our worldly possessions, and we bought a van, and we van lifed around Australia for like a year and a half. And you know, the rest of the money I put into Bitcoin. And yeah, that will probably end up being the defining financial decision of my life. So it's definitely been life-changing that way. So yeah.
It's and so some of the, as you say, some of the stuff that I certainly first saw was your what do you call what you did? Rendering, or what is that called? It's
well, the 2D stuff
first, and then we'll ask the question.
The 2D stuff you can call motion graphics. So it's just like any, you know, animated moving pixels sort of thing. So there, and yeah, the first things were mostly 2D, just like moving letters and stuff like that. And oh yeah, that's the thing. Because like Twitter's this very limited medium where you have like, you know, 240 characters or whatever. And I've actually always appreciated working in a limited medium, because when everything is possible, like, it's often very hard to know what to actually do. So, but still, there's a hack in Twitter that you can attach an image, you know, but you know, if you put text and words on that image and make it flashy, like, our monkey brains are more attracted to it. So I just thought, you know, here's a way to sort of hack the.
Sorry, you're standing out from the crowd.
Yeah, like, and because I mean, I remember. By the way, I'm good at. It's good that I have a platform to tell people this because everyone complains about
Well,
Twitter
you say
ads.
platform. It's just me. It's just me and
Yeah,
Brandon.
that's all right. It's more than me talking to an empty room. But yeah, everyone complains about Twitter ads. I have not had a Twitter ad now in probably it's probably getting close to 2 years now. On any platform, I could put a new phone with the Twitter app. I do not see any ads. I don't see ads on my browser.
What?
Yeah, promoted tweets, right? I don't get any promoted tweets.
I get them all the time.
I think the reason is because I fucking spam the hell out of Twitter, and I would keep re-uploading the same GIF on because I followed the Federal Reserve, and just spam Bitcoin memes on there and Commonwealth Bank or whatever, and I don't know why. I'm trying to work out why I don't see ads, but maybe Twitter's put me in some other category because of that. So yeah.
Well, I don't suppose you saw the thing today about the Shadowban sort of thing that.
I did see that, and I remember using that site in the past and checking if I was shadow banned, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, I'm not at all, but yeah, I'm ghost banned as well. But then people said that Jack at Jack, he's ghost banned as well. So
okay.
They were wondering if the algorithm's actually accurate. That's working that out. But who knows?
I mean, I guess it's one of those things that you kind of never know, do you?
Well, keep talking because I'm going to check Star Fury now and see if he's shadow banned.
That's Star Fury Flames.
Star Fury Flames.
It's we all I guess we all probably like to think that our tweets are better than they are. It's just they're just in the mind of somebody else, So maybe we're just all terrible. But I don't believe that there's and some of the stuff that floats up to the top, you're looking at it going, really, that's what's floating up to the top of this algorithm. That's the best that we can. And then other stuff you read that's some guy's posted and it's got 2 likes.
There's definitely something up because I'm sure I don't see posts from people that I follow, and I'm like, I'll go to their own page and I'm like, I have not seen a post from this person in months. I don't remember seeing them. I've set my timeline.
Michael Saylor recently, I haven't seen much from him, so I actually went onto his thing and he's
that's right,
as active as ever. Oh, there you go.
But you've got to.
Is he banned?
Yeah, I'm banned. Ghost banned.
Ghost banned.
So who knows?
But it seems like everyone is ghost banned. That's all.
Not me, and not. And
you're not. Okay.
No. So I'm not because I don't have any kind of followers or anything. And then I've got a perpetual troll called Bodog, who said it's only actual Bitcoiners that are getting banned. And so I looked him up, and he's not either. So fuck you, Bodog.
So it's brilliant. It's just interesting. I don't know what that's turning up, but a lot of what comes out of a Bitcoiner's face is just pure honesty. I just don't know why those sorts of things would be. I don't know. I understand why a lot of things are controversial, but for it to appear to be so consistent across so many people, it's quite odd.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're also in our own echo chamber, and we're only checking each other. So check a few other, I don't know, Kardashian followers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we all like to give Twitter shit, but I still don't know what a better platform is.
Well, that's exactly the point, isn't it? We're still there. Yeah. And I was thinking about that earlier. What would it actually take? Because there was the whole Mastodon thing not too long ago, and then there was what was the other one, the Bitter or whatever it's called.
Bitter, yeah.
Like Grindr.
Getter, excuse me. Yeah,
Getter.
Getter.
And I took my account and then didn't do anything with it, like most people probably. Yeah. And so what would it actually? Would it be like?
I think Gab.
Sorry, go on.
Gab.com, the guy that runs that, they seem pretty staunch, and they did that Dissenter browser, and he's planning to build his own payment network, and he's a full Bitcoiner. So of all the alternative social media platforms, but it's just until they get the network effect.
Well, that's it.
There's just no one. You're just talking to an empty room, sort of thing.
Well, I was thinking, what would it be for me? What would make me actually move? And the answer is probably if I really.
You need all the other people to move too.
That's exactly it. So,
it's the definition of a network effect, right?
Right, but so you almost need like a Rogan, like somebody with.
No. You need the dancing guy on the hill.
So bootstraps the next thing. Yeah.
No, you need the second guy. That's what you need because the first guy goes. Yeah. But but nobody joins the first guy.
Yeah.
But like it's like because when that's what Spotify did, they paid up to get Rogan, and there are people who will desperately want to listen to Rogan. So so
Spotify was already big, right?
Exactly.
Like they were moving like horizontally into a different, from just music into podcasts as well. So like people already had Spotify installed for music, and like Joe Rogan was like, hey, we do podcasts and other stuff too. But yeah, it'll happen. It's kind of like one of those things where it's just got to get bad enough that the solutions come to the fore. And while we're still comfortable here, like, to get to bigger topics, perhaps it's like on the grand geopolitical scale or whatever, I probably fall into a bit of an accelerationist camp. And every time I hear some new tyrannical law or something being passed, I'm like, well, okay, we're one step closer to it being the situation being bad enough that people wake up. And I would have thought that like the past few years, and I think a lot of people have been starting to wake up, with all COVID hysteria, and now we have the next thing. I don't know what this fucking war in Ukraine is going to bring either, but who knows?
Yeah, the COVID and COVID, Canada, and the Russia Ukraine situation are they're serious things, on a global scale, and Western, Canada. You probably wouldn't have expected it was going to be Canada.
But nothing's really localized anymore. Like if something happens, it always often becomes a global issue.
Mm-hmm. And you have to be outraged.
You have to be outraged. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, what's it going to be? I don't know. I mean, I think we are starting to see crumbling now. Like 2008, I thought we were, there's only so far they can kick this can. And now it's 2022, 14 years later, and we're still not seeing the actual crumble.
Well, I think
it starts. We're not seeing the collapse. I think we're seeing the crumble. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the gas prices in the US are going to be a huge catalyst for people, because like once price like hits like $10 a gallon or whatever, and here in Australia, I'm shocked to see it at $2 for the first time. You expect it. It's like been a slowly rising thing, but once it starts going, parabolic, like the inflation, I think people are going to wake up pretty fast. And like you just kind of hope that we as Bitcoiners have been laying the groundwork and doing the job of educating people and going like, well, look, here's a solution. So yeah, it's going to get messy.
And not only that, the infrastructure is getting rolled out as well. So when people are looking for something, then there's potentially products and services already there for them to jump to, even though it's so early.
Sorry, I'm just going to read you something. This is my cousin who I was talking about last week, and who is definitely an alternative thinker, but not a financial person at all. We're not particularly interested in finance. I mean, how are you doing? I feel we've been chatting, obviously. I feel like I'm not learning fast enough, and just want to choose a wallet and start buying, but don't know enough. But don't know enough yet. Did you just start and then learn from there? So my point there is, like, once you've got somebody to that point, they don't go backwards.
No.
Yeah.
She's made her own conscious choice. Like, don't get me wrong, I've been trying to convince, but now she's doing it by herself. So now she's just looking for advice or to be pointed in the right direction, so she can sort of skip some of the stupid mistakes I made, which plenty of them.
Hey, you were there for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you'd be screwed otherwise.
But and I'm the idiot.
But once you get people to look for them, once they're looking for themselves, it really is nothing to. You just have to then just keep talking and give them reference points and data and places to go and sensible.
Well, the orange pill is kicked in, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, where do we get to?
I wouldn't mind talking about, if you don't mind, your foray into psychedelics. Obviously, you've talked to Valis, who's kind of right into psychedelics. He's talked about the kind of not necessarily parallels, but what is it for you, and does it, or how does it relate to kind of your journey into Bitcoin? Is it related, or is it separate?
It might be related, just in the sense that I do think everyone well, the classic line from Terence McKenna, who's like the I don't know, he's just a highly revered character in the psychedelic space. And he said it's like humanity's birthright. Like you no more want to go from cradle to the grave without experiencing like sex or sexuality. Like psychedelics are in that category of, you know, what it means to be human. And after like the first proper trip where all of your perception of reality gets perturbed to such an extreme degree, and after that you just realize how subjective our experience is, and so it just kind of leaves you with a more of a curious and questioning sort of outlook on life, like that things may not be how they appear, or you know, I hope you would be more open to new ideas. And by the way, I've done like Jordan Peterson's Big 5 personality traits test, and I'm like off the charts in openness to experience, and I'm also off the charts in disagreeableness. Like I'm like the first percentile in disagreeable. So if there's a room of 100 people, I'll be like the most disagreeable person. And same with like just openness. So I think those are two things again which will prime you for Bitcoin, because like, you know, I went through my militant anti-theistic stage as a 20-something-year-old, and you know, went to a religious high school, and that just turned me the wrong way. So I've always been anti-authoritarian, you know, almost for its own sake. So yeah, like, yeah, does that answer the question about the psychedelics?
Yeah. I mean, there's a bit of an anachronistic kind of, or is there an anachronistic kind of trait to, I guess, someone.
Well, the drugs are illegal, right? So by definition, anyone who's doing them, and you know, like I tried a lot of stuff in my 20s as well, and there are some drugs that are really dangerous, and you know, I can understand why they would want to be prescribed in a civilized society. You know, at the same time, I'm libertarian, and it's your body, it's your choice, sort of thing. But you know, the fact that mushrooms and LSD are in the same category as something like heroin, you know, it just those are drugs. Heroin like is a drug of addiction, you know, but you know, after a mushroom trip, like, you know, it's an ordeal, right? You know, and it's not like you're rushing out to do it again. Like mostly you just need to process for several months.
Really.
So yeah. Have you never tripped, or you never done any psychedelics?
I've had acid once, and it was amazing. Like when I was on it, it was fantastic. But what I didn't realize, because I was 18 or 19 at the time, I had it at like maybe midnight, and I had to work the next day. I didn't realize that the trip lasted 8 to 12 hours or whatever it was. Right. So it was fantastic. It was amazing. But then when I actually went home, it was like 4 a.m. or something stupid, and I'm like, okay, I've got to go to sleep. That then became a nightmare. Okay. I used to listen to a Tommy Emmanuel CD every night to go to sleep, and it was on, and my eyes were shut, but fuck me, I could see that music. Yeah. But when I was in the right frame of mind, it was incredible. It was so good, and I was happy and loving. It was all that kind of stuff. But sorry, back to my point. It's like, for me, right? So I smoked a lot of pot, in high school and uni, and it wasn't necessarily, it was because I enjoyed it. But to begin with, there's an element of A, risk, and B, you want to do something that you're not allowed to do, and I don't know if that's human. Right. I don't know if that's human nature. And there's the whole argument about legalizing drugs versus
rebelling against your parents, first of all.
Exactly. Right. But all these rules and laws about, you know, this is illegal. It doesn't do anything for people that are. If anything, it incentivizes them a little bit more. I think, to just go, hey. You know,
it's the forbidden fruit thing, and I had the same thing as a teenager. Like I was quite sheltered. You know, my parents had come over from East Germany, and I was growing up here in Australia. And when I got to university, it was the first time I was away from home, and you know, I was like 19 the first time I tried weed, and it's like all these authorities and institutions, they've eroded their credibility to such a degree that if these people who are so beneath, so unworthy of trust, say that something is bad, like it's kind of indicating that there might be something there. And like honestly, in the case of psychedelics, I think it really is. And I don't really get too conspiratorial anymore, but it does. If all the population had these psychedelic experiences and it would open up and raise the consciousness, and I don't know, I think people would be harder to control then. So who knows, man?
Is it just fear? Like, is it just fear of the unknown? Like from authority? Like, when have you ever met two guys that smoked a joint, then gone on to rob a house or start anything, exactly. Right? That never happened, right? But stand outside any pub in any city anywhere in the world, and two guys that have had 15 beers each, they're fighting over something, right? So we know that one, and we kind of we maybe don't like it, but we've accepted it. But it's more of a problem.
Yeah.
So what is it? What's I mean, I know there's states in America and other places around the world where it's coming into it's already legal, but or some things are already legal. You go to Portugal, I think they've decriminalized all drugs, and they have they certainly don't have a huge drug crime problem in Portugal that I'm certainly not aware of. I've watched a few documentaries. I don't know first-hand experience of that, but I've never heard the problem spoken about. So, I mean, what is the problem?
Yeah, I think it's just authority. They it's when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. They just want to tie hammer everything down that they can. But I think that's shifting a lot. Like it's things like mushrooms and MDMA, they're being used in therapeutic situations now, and medical marijuana is prescribed. And I think we've got the thin edge of the wedge, and I think things are slowly shifting, and it's kind of just is a generational thing, like that thing they say about science doesn't change until the old scientists die out, and it's the same, like the old politicians have got to die out. We were actually in Portugal at a festival called Boom, which was like one of the biggest psychedelic festivals in the world. It happens every 2 years around this lake in Portugal. 50,000 people for a week. Wow. And like we drove there from like the north of France. We'd been in Amsterdam and met all this crew, and we're going to go camp with them. And like the Portuguese army like lines the road on the way in. It's such a huge event. But yeah, that was on the sort of the big campgrounds in the section behind us, like one street behind us, there was these two Israeli guys that had a desk set up and big bouncer guy on the right, and they had a list of drugs there that you could buy, and like it was pretty loose, and there's multiple places in the festival where you could go and test your drugs just to make sure they were clean. And so it's this harm reduction approach to things. My ex now, she's actually a trauma therapist, and I've gone through this period as well where I thought like all drug use is like just self-medicating early childhood trauma, and that actually was this overwhelming sense at the last festival I'd ever gone to when my daughter was born, after like 6 years of that time. And I looked out over this dance floor, a couple of thousand people, and all I saw was hurting children, and so that was like 7 or 8 years ago. But I actually just went back to my to a festival just a month or two ago, first one in like 7 years, and I just had a totally life-changing experience there, DMT experience, and
sorry, what's DMT?
DMT, dimethyltryptamine.
Sorry,
you would have heard Alex Jones or Joe Rogan talking about it. So that was amazing. And I mean, I mentioned to you guys too, like I separated from the mother of my daughter about a year ago now, and I had a really rough year, and I fucking hated her, sort of thing. And that Saturday night at this festival just gone it was mid-December, and I had just an amazing dance. I hadn't had a proper dance in so many years as well. And come Sunday morning, something shifted inside me. Like what I saw on the DMT trip, it was like it was, I don't know, I think it's Plato who says that thing about the beauty and the true and the good. They're all kind of the same thing. And like what I saw on that, it was something that was so beautiful, and it kind of sort of reinvigorated me onto the path of truth and goodness somehow. And yeah, like I got over all the bitterness and anger that I felt towards my ex. And like the Christmas was just a week or two after that, and I was dreading that because we'd planned for my parents to come up to visit the old house where my ex and my daughter still is. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be in that house again for the first time. And I was not looking forward to it, but we had the best time. And like, seriously, it would not have been that way if not for that experience that I had in the festival on that Saturday night.
I mean, we can see that. We're looking at the video just now, right? You can see that on your face, right? How long was December? So we're talking 3-4 months or something, right?
Yeah.
And you're clearly still having this elements of the experience right now. Like it was really profound.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. Like, they're not drugs of addiction. Like that DMT trip, I'll be processing that for the next year or so. And I remember seeing something, and it was I got a whole vision for my future as well, because that psychedelic festival lifestyle, that was my tribe for so many years, from probably like age 27 to 32 or so. And yeah, then we ran the organic food business, and my daughter came into my life. She's 7 now as well, and that's all I've been doing, like just responsibilities with that, which is great. It's how it should be. And
has your approach changed at all, being a dad, in that sense, like towards drugs, or not at all?
No, not at all, because I'd already done it all when she had come along, and I was happy to stop it. Like I said, I hadn't been to a festival in 7 years. I hadn't, other than vaporize some weed now and then. There's been no drugs in my life, but yeah, I'd really thoroughly done the psychedelic thing, and I had no sort of need for it. But since coming back to that festival, I'm like, yeah, that it's pretty like peak life experience. And it's funny because the thing about looking out and seeing all these self-medicating people with just dealing with their trauma, like this last time when I was on that dance floor and I looked around, I'm like, I am one of those people that's dealing with their trauma, and fucking great. Like if this is what you have to do, and to do it, like at least you're dealing with it, and I think the culture at these parties it's quite evolved now. Like they're very much focused on harm minimization and look after your mates and educate your mates. Like Brendo, what you were saying about tripping as an 18-year-old, and none of us know what we're doing. Like we don't, it used to be like you go to the shaman and he holds your hand and he says like, this is the ritual we have around it. And it was Timothy Leary. He would always focus on the set and setting. What is your mindset going into it, and what is your setting, your environment? So yeah, you don't want to be stressing about having to go to work the next day, and that's why we go out into the bush, for 4 or 5 days. Have a day of set up, get comfortable, get to learn your neighbors. Friday night at the party, you go and have a beer, smoke a joint. It's easy. Saturday night, then it's fucking all on. And Sunday and Monday you recover, and Tuesday you're back in civilization, but it's done in a very sort of healthy way, and not like when I was in my early 20s and it was fucking speed, and you wouldn't eat and you wouldn't look after yourself. Like I go out there and I got the camper van and I'm eating steaks every night and making a big breakfast. And yeah, when I was doing it in my 20s, it was there was no thoughts of like longevity sort of thing, but I'd like to be partying like that, into my 50s and 60s. And you see some people, some oldies at these parties as well. So yeah.
Hey, maybe next Bitcoin Bush Bash.
Maybe. Maybe that's the place. We'll get Bill and Wiz.
Bill and Wiz.
Well, yeah, that could be a good fun night. Wait, so what have you been in terms of them? You went to the first one. You didn't come to the latest one because you were work busy. No, but have you been to Yeppoon, or you didn't go to Yeppoon?
No, I went to the one that was where was that? It was
Beechworth.
No, it was north of so central northern Queensland on the coast. But there wasn't that many people at that one.
Yeppoon.
No, it wasn't. Was it Yeppoon? I don't think
That's
so.
where they've had one there.
Well, yeah, if there was another one, then nobody invited us.
Well, no one. There was a bunch of people that were supposed to come up from down south, but it was like in the middle of COVID, sort of stuff. Yeah. So I've been to two, but yeah, the second one wasn't a huge turnout just because of like COVID things.
Yeah.
But
So I'm just sorry,
Bill was there.
with the drugs as well, like and that you're sort of going into an environment you might not necessarily know the person, but you're going into what feels like a safe environment, right? And that weekend is just a wonderful weekend. It's almost that's a similar. I think that's a similar
to Bush Bash.
Yeah, well, yeah, Bush Bash or a festival. Like if you're going somewhere where you're comfortable with the people, you're going to have a better time.
Oh,
Right?
entirely.
You don't have to know them as long as if you feel like you're in a safe place.
Well, but it comes back to what I was explaining before, is that the trip for me was incredible because I was with friends. Like it was this is years ago, like a quiet night out, but in town. We went to clubs and did all that kind of stuff. It was the best experience ever.
Yeah.
Until I wanted it to end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're in an environment in the bush or whatever, it doesn't matter. Then that just goes until it just goes, I suppose.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Oh, my favorite. I'm an idiot. Like my first series was in Cambodia with two people I knew in a random place. I had about 45 minutes of euphoria and then about 2 days of
Hell.
What
would you have?
Oh, jeez.
LSD.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just horrific afterwards.
2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. Filled it, but one of the guys I was with collapsed. We ended up in a hospital. He nearly died. It was an awful experience.
Oh, okay.
So
That doesn't sound like you shouldn't be. That doesn't sound like LSD.
Well,
No.
that's the point, isn't it? We're probably in a place where you don't know what you're doing. You don't know who you're with, and you don't know what you're taking. So, yeah, it was.
And that's why it's such a shame that there's so much laws and fear around this. Like the Portuguese approach seems so much more humane. Like and it is true. Like people are looking for ways to feel good, like to smash the dopamine button. Like people do live up. It's the human condition. Like we've always sought out ways to alter our consciousness, and people are curious. But yeah, I mean, one of the reasons, LSD is fantastic because it's such a small dose it's such a small amount of it that you need to actually get high, and like it's. What am I trying to say with that? Yeah, I've lost my train of thought. Maybe having a flashback to my own acid times. But
I had
yeah.
I was listening to Jordan Peterson with Jimmy Carr. Do you know Jimmy Carr, the comedian?
Yeah, I actually listened to that. I listened to a couple of clips from that recently. Yeah, that was just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, I guess, and it was excellent. Jimmy Carr was basically saying, he's a workaholic. Jimmy Carr. He tours like 300 nights a year.
I really like Jimmy Carr.
Yeah, funny man. But really thoughtful. Like some people might not like his comedy, but he's a really thoughtful comedian. Like, and you might not get that from the comedy, but behind the scenes, it's very much he's crafting his art. But his point is, he doesn't feel like it's work. He's enjoying what he's doing. So something is giving you that constant dopamine of enjoyment. Like, why would you not want to continue to do that? And if you just happen to be paid for it as well, that's wonderful, right?
I'm finally at that stage now. If you want to bring it back to the art stuff that I do. Yeah. And I was going to bring this up before. I was going to bring this up before because always in my life, like, I was a chef, and you go to work in the kitchen and you're being paid the hourly wage. And then when we ran our own business, it's somewhat different, because you're trying to build this thing up, but still you're kind of being paid for your time and your energy. And since I started doing this art stuff, I'm finally in a position where I can be paid for like for my mind basically, and my creativity. And that's a really, really satisfying thing. And like, I definitely have that now where it doesn't feel like work at all. It's just like I'm learning things and I'm getting to create things. And this is the thing that the DMT vision sort of gave to me. Like, I feel like I'm on this holy quest now to recreate the things that I saw, and I actually have the tools that I can do that with in Blender. So I'm very driven that way now. Did you go seeking that out because of the experiences you've had? Because you can absolutely see some of the things. I don't know how much you can share. Well, firstly, where's the best place if somebody wants to go and have a look at stuff that is currently out and available to look at? What would just scroll down my Twitter feed, basically. Like I'm, with the stuff that I shared with you now, I've probably got enough content that I can actually put together a proper portfolio now, and put together a compilation of stuff and actually try and find some legit work, because I haven't really.
Probably you got so much stuff. I mean, my favorite thing is still the world crazy zigzag and the Bitcoin pulse.
The pulsating signal,
Oh my God, that is like perfect.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Like unbelievable. And that's obviously one of your earlier ones.
Yep, I mean, and that's just basic 2D stuff in After Effects, and that's what I mean. That's what I like, that idea of, they say if a picture speaks 1,000 words, like how many words can you fit in an animation, maybe? You can. It's just this thing where you can really condense an idea into something. So yeah, I'm definitely proud of some of that stuff. I must say the Blender work is much more satisfying. It's some pretty high level engineering and programming and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go as hard as that. It's actually I had it up on the wall from Jordan Peterson, the second book that he wrote, the 12 rules, the second one. And rule 7 is work as hard as you can on one thing and see what happens. When after the separation happened and I kind of moved out of the house and into this new place, I put that rule 7 on the wall, and also I think it was rule 2, which was don't let your grief overtake your life. Something about that. Don't let your grief increase your suffering or something. And that's basically been me for a year now. Like just staying positive and just working as hard as I can in the Blender stuff and see motion graphics in general. But yeah, Blender in the last 9 months, and it's awesome to see like the stuff that I shared with you, that was for a project that I took on like a month and a half ago. And when I took it on, I was like, yeah, it's the story of my life is like fake it till you make it. And someone will ask me to do something and I'm like, yeah, I can do that, and then I have to spend, a week on watching tutorials and actually learn how to do it. But I'm making stuff that I didn't think I could even make like a couple of months ago. So I'm much closer to actually being able to recreate the DMT visions than I was just recently. So yeah.
Oh, so DMT. So you've got visions in your mind that you're kind of working towards. Is that correct?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I mean,
that's cool.
It's a cliche to say that it's ineffable. You can't put into words what you saw on the psychedelic thing, but yeah, I mean, all of reality turns to hallucination, like really crisp geometric patterns and in 3D. And yeah, I'm kind of suffused with those, and I'm like, I'm trying to recreate them. And I don't know, man. Like, we probably get to this. I follow a Twitter account called it's the at Super Rare bot, and it reposts NFTs that have been sold. Just all day long, it just reposts, and the kind of art that is being bought and sold, presumably for like stupid, crazy money. It's at the same time, it's depressing and inspiring to follow this bot for me, because I think I have the skills to do stuff at that level now, and yeah, I'm just trying to find a way to monetize this thing, because I don't, I'm like a homeschooling dad, like I don't have a whole lot of time, and just my life situation right now is like I can't go. I'm certainly not going to go be a chef anymore. Like it's the only forwards sort of thing. I've got to make the animation stuff pay now. So yeah, I've finished this last project, and now I'm working on my own things again, and I'm going to start looking into like what the NFT platforms are about, which is kind of ironic because for the past year plus I've been just giving NFTs shit because I think they're a stupid concept. I don't think you can own pixels and the whole thing about screenshotting things, but then at the same time, like there's a market there, and I've got the skills that can service that market. And if people want to pay to own digital artwork, then like I'd be stupid not to provide that service. And I've got to think about my daughter and myself as well. I got to put
Entirely.
bills to pay and whatever. So yeah, I'm a bit of a moral quandary about that now. Like, do I change to starfury.eth and get on the NFT platforms? But yeah, like I want to do it in a transparent way. And like I even thought this like 6 months ago. It was like, you know, if I could make NFTs and use the proceeds to fund, you know, a Bitcoin developer or something like that, you know, like what's the morality around that? Even though I think NFTs are bullshit. And yeah, so you go.
No, all I was going to say was, I've said this in the pod before, is that there's probably nothing in my mind more kind of noble than fiat mining, right? So that's somebody who's really not liking their job, but they're sticking with it for the reasons of family, their bills or whatever, and on the side they're stacking they understand the Bitcoin thesis and they're stacking sats, right? So, but there's no difference. There's no difference in that to what you're saying, but I can hear. You just by saying that, I can see
you're struggling.
well, that, but I can also see anybody listening is triggered, and the veins are sticking out in their head, going ba, right? And they are right, and they don't have to buy it. But if there is a market for it, and you're just taking the value out of that and putting it into the thing that actually has value. Now, and there's but let's just be clear, like there's no doubt that what you're, in my mind anyway, what you create is art. No doubt whatsoever. That art has a value. Yes. So how do you monetize that value? That's the question, isn't it? Like, if for artistic people, it's always been difficult. Monetize, because most of them don't want to do it, right? They want to live, but they don't want to. They're not interested in sales, and they're not really interested in money. They want to be creative, right?
Yeah. I think one of the reasons why NFTs have kind of gotten so much traction is that there are artists that are amazing, and they're struggling. And that they see that potentially as an avenue of income, I suppose. You know what I mean? Whether they believe in it or not, that's kind of irrelevant. But that's a potential income stream for someone who wants to put food on their table.
Yes.
And we're not certainly advocating for NFTs in any way. But
no, but others fine.
No, exactly. Exactly.
It's just. But he has to live. So but I think, I don't know if we have this conversation before we came on or at the beginning, but it was like, and Bitcoiners are tight. Like, you have to put that bit at the end as well. All Bitcoiners want to hold on.
Oh, dude, getting sats out of Bitcoiners for work done is like fucking impossible. So
So, and give you our example of the cow again. We wanted beef, and we're going, oh my god, that's a lot of sats. But okay, but you were going to buy the damn beef, so just buy the beef, pay the sats, and then use your fiat money to buy more Bitcoin.
Buy more. Yep. Because he's hodling. If you're buying it from another Bitcoiner, they're going to be hodling anyway, right?
Sure,
so
exactly.
You're not adding sell pressure to the market.
No, it's
that's a good point. Good point.
It's so we've mentioned this, but it's like stack hodl, but I'm increasingly going to stack hodl, spend, replace. Stack hodl, spend, replace, and or even
spend with a caveat that like spend with other Bitcoiners, because we got to bootstrap the Bitcoin circular economy, right?
Yes, completely right. So if you can find somebody that is, aligns with your thinking, and they also make shoes, and you need shoes, buy their shoes, and then go buy some more Bitcoin. Like, it's better than that than going into, a shop. Like, what does that achieve for any of us?
Totally.
But,
so how do you feel about? Obviously, that's a moral quandary for you, but how much?
Well, do I rebrand? Like, do I start doing NFTs as Star Fury? Because I thought, like, I don't have to tell anyone about it. And I can just pick it. The dark side of there you go. So
you can have that. It's yours.
Well, how much weight do you put in the kind of potential Twitter backlash? You know what I mean? Like, and we've talked about this before. Whereas the toxic maxis are the what do you call it? You've said it before. It's like they're the kind of the check and
the
balance.
immune system.
The immune system. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think because that's why I was interested to come in here to chat with you guys about it as well, to kind of gauge what the reaction might be. And like, I mean, I'm just like fucking Twitter small fry, it doesn't really matter. But like I think as long as I'm transparent about
Hey,
it.
I'm not Shadowbans, so you know.
You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, thank you. So my pushback, I get. So if you're looking for the opinion, my pushback is like, what could, who out there could you be offering what you do in the Bitcoin world? Because that would be perfect, right? If you do what you did, rather than going off into NFTs, you actually were just selling to Bitcoin businesses that maybe require your services. And so the things that came to my mind, just thinking of Cindy before, you know, like the guys over at Perth Heat, they have a baseball team, right? I mean, what could you do with the baseball? Like, that's just the first, you know, or Samson Mao has just left Blockstream, right? Or is just leaving Blockstream, and he has Infinite Fleet. Infinite Fleet, is that what it's called, the game?
Yes,
Infinite Fleet?
Or
and then you have
Pixelmatic's the company, I think. But
okay. And then you have, you know, guys over at Swan Bitcoin who actually do have a budget. You know, they are a significant business now. And I'm not talking, you know, personally, I wouldn't like to go Coinbase, but you know, ultimately you have to go where the customers are, I guess. But I think there are places that potentially you wouldn't even have to go outside of the area that you don't want to go outside of just to eat, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But so yeah, frankly, I'm just kind of throwing a challenge out to anybody that listens that is actually from a Bitcoin business. Like, go support Bitcoiners that are trying to do something.
And not only trying, but doing
doing
it well.
Totally, not just trying. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
No, thanks, guys.
All of us have to start taking a bit of responsibility for that, because otherwise, what's the fucking point? Yeah. Like, we're talking about circular economy. Well, you are the circular economy. Hyper Bitcoinization happens when you personally decide to hyper Bitcoinize your own life, right? You don't have to wait for the rest of the world. You can go, you know, find your meat else, whatever it might be, find your thing.
Look after your own backyard, basically.
Completely. And if you have to pay a little bit more, well, maybe it's worth it. Yeah,
tight asses. Fucking
yeah, come on, Bitcoiners. But I get it. Like, I hodl too. Like, you know, we're the same. Like, anytime we've got a docs jar and we, you know, 100 sats, and it pains me to give away 100 sats. What is 100 sats? Like, nothing, right? But it's just more about the competence. But also, all of us, I think, see where we're going. So it's like, I'm not giving you $100 for doing that, because that's how you feel. Yeah. So where are you just now? Where is your thought just now, and how, what will help you make up your mind?
Well, I think I'm already on the path. Like, it's inevitable, and it's just the hustle that I've been on for the last 2 years or so. You've got to strike this balance between trying to actually get work, and maybe you guys remember I did all those black and white animations for Dan Held. He's a dubious character amongst Bitcoiners as well that people love to shit on. But he was the first person who ever gave me any sats for graphics work. So I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for him. He's a tight ass, actually. So
I'll eat a little bit. That's nice to hear. I'll eat a little bit of humble pie, because I am one of those Bitcoiners that shits on Dan Held. So well done, Dan. What credit where it's due.
No, and that was good. Like, he was, you know, I hustled really hard to get my foot in the door with him, and I was only doing dinky little animations. I hadn't even been doing it for a year at that point, and I think like it was like $200 that he paid me, like $5 an animation or $10 or something. But that's like 3 or 4 years ago, 2 years ago now, and yeah, that's not looking so bad after that, X amount of price appreciation. So it's just one of these things, like, you fake it till you make it, and you just keep iterating and trying. And I'm on that part of the journey. Like, I'm still improving, and I'm creating more content, and I just have this faith and confidence that if I keep doing that, like, good stuff is going to come out of it. And, you know, I'm trying to balance actually getting paid work and just doing stuff to develop the skills. And it's good because often they both happen at the same time. And, you know, even if people are tight, I can ask for pretty reduced wages, but I kind of still consider myself an apprentice, you know, graphic designer. But then at the same time, like, I've got to have the the confidence to get paid for what I think I'm worth. So it's a tricky thing, man. Like, I've never done freelance work like that before. It's tough because you don't know when the next gig's going to come along, but then I can get a gig that, you know, keeps me and my daughter fed for a month or two. And it's just how it is. But actually, like, in the past year, and because we've been rural, like I'm just, and because of COVID as well, I'm not going to go back to like a real job, whatever that would be. Like it's got to be something remote where I can be close to my daughter and flexible, because for half the week I'm with her and homeschooling her and stuff. So I get no fucking money from the government either. And so for the first time, like ever, I've had to sell Bitcoin in the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
And it's just interesting. It's like this is how it's got to be. Like I've opted out of the fiat monetary system. Like I have $0 in the bank basically, and so if that's the choice you're going to make, it's going to come with these consequences. So yeah, that's just how it is.
Yeah, right. Are you still doing stuff with Dan Held or?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, it kind of just fizzled out with him. But like you guys mentioned Swan, like I've done stuff with them. I've been doing stuff with Gigi for his new book as well. But like he's fucking busy as well. I think him and his family, they had to relocate out of Austria, and it's all good though. Like I've got enough Bitcoin. Like I've got enough Bitcoin that if it takes me another 2 years to monetize what I'm doing, like I've got a runway to do that, and then after that, I hope to be able to actually just support myself with the graphic design and the art stuff, and that'll be happy days. So yeah, I'm not really concerned. And I think it keeps you hungry as well that I don't have any other safety net. Like like I said, I couldn't even walk into a Centrelink and ask for money. Like I don't know. I just try and live my life as much as possible as if the government doesn't exist.
Yes,
And it's not even worth it. So yeah.
So okay,
I'd
so
prefer
you'll
it that
probably.
way.
I had a tweet today. It was when the MMT money comes, you have to take it, and then if you hate what's happening, you have to then just immediately convert it to Sats. Do you disagree with me? Like you're probably maybe take it. Is it a moral stance, or you just couldn't take yourself into the
Well, I'm already no. I mean, if they're giving shit out for free, like yeah, I mean, take it. Like it's that thing. They've already.
You're getting poorer, not as a result. It's not like you're standing still. It's you're getting poorer result because other people are taking it.
Yeah, and they've already stolen. That's your stolen money already. Like
yes.
when we ran that business and we sold that business, and there was a hefty fucking tax bill that came along with that. And I had a couple of employees, so I paid into the system. So if they're giving shit away, for absolutely. And I mean, I'm already all in on Bitcoin. So I have some fiat, but that's just to get me through pay whatever bills and whatever life expenses. But other than that, like I'm already all in. So yeah, if someone drops some fiat on me, then I'd hold it if I needed it. But otherwise, it all goes into Bitcoin for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking. I just thought I'd have a quick flick at Bitcoiner jobs just to see what's there. There were 8 design jobs on Bitcoiner jobs just now, and one of them is called a thumbnail hero at Bitcoin News.
Is that new?
It is from the 22nd of February.
Do you check Bitcoin and jobs or?
I don't actually, and like I have in the past, and it seemed very much developers and social media stuff, and I hadn't and maybe there was a designer, but like UX and design for apps and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate the help. I think I'm on the path, and the thing. It is the path next. Like I've created NFTs for these other guys now, but I haven't done anything for myself. And like I said, I have I feel I'm on this holy quest to create this sort of stuff. And I also have this old DJ friend of mine, a producer as well. He's a fire dancer too, and he's doing the audio stuff for me. So we very much share an aesthetic vision for things. So I don't know. I'm excited for this year. I think it's going to be a big year. I sorted out all this shit at that last festival at the end of last year, and now I'm just kind of excited for the future while trying to navigate the various complexities that my life happens at the moment. That all our lives have, and that's just the thing is, man. I don't know if you guys have read Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. Neil Stephenson's one of those sci-fi authors that is kind of notable. Like in the book Snow Crash, there was like a Google Earth idea, and the word metaverse was coined in that book. And the main character, he's like this hacker guy. His name's Hiro Protagonist, like a Japanese name, Hiro, Hiro.
Oh, yeah.
And that was actually a name I chose for myself before Star Fury. I was an epic hero. And that character, he's a hacker / graphics programmer. And him and his buddies, they were the ones that sort of, put together the metaverse at the beginning. They programmed, whatever comes after the internet that we have now. Like it's set in a little bit of the distant future. And like I've always had this thing about like life is we're the main characters in a video game of our own lives sort of thing. And this thing about like life is a story that we tell and we get to narrate our own story sort of thing. And yeah, I had this name as Hiro, and now I'm at the stage where I am actually a graphics programmer. Like my life is sort of following that arc, and I don't know, it's all really subjective cool. Anyway.
The thing I just noticed there is I think 9 months ago talking to you, even just on Twitter, you probably had a bit of apologies if this comes across as rude, I don't mean it as rude, but like imposter syndrome, in the sense that you were doing something, it was great, people were saying it was great, but you were like, oh, it's just something and now you are saying you are a graphics programmer. Like that's excellent.
It's absolutely true. And it was the stuff that I sent you guys on this last project I worked on, it's because I've been saying I'm faking it till I make it, and now for the first time I'm like, holy shit, I'm not actually faking it anymore.
Yes.
This is something I can actually look at and go like, this is actually art that I'm proud of. And like I can look at some of those loops, and they're 10 or 12 second loops, and then I find myself staring at them and it's been a couple of minutes and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty nice to look at. So yeah, it's a good feeling. And I think I know there's such a consumerist culture, and I think, and for men especially, I think it's important to create something and produce something. Like if it's like building a shed or just whatever it is, but you got to be creating something. And this is actually I mentioned to you guys as well that my dad's been unwell, and he's 76, and it came on for him. It came on quite suddenly. He was at I saw him for his birthday, which was in the start of December. And we went down to the Gold Coast and had dinner with him. And he's just been slowing down and he's been getting weaker, but we had dinner with him and it was fine. When they came up for the Christmas party, like he deteriorated so much and he was shuffling around, and then like a week later, like they had to admit him to the hospital, and he could barely move around the house by himself. Like I went down one weekend to look after him, and I had to carry him to the toilet at night and bathe him, and and he was saying like, how did this happen so suddenly? But I've seen it coming for maybe 10 years now. They sold their business that he was an electronics engineer, and they sold their business that my parents used to run. And I told Dad, you've got to find something else to do, because he was always in the garage fixing electronics, always doing something, or renovating the house. Like we always moved from house to house and they do it up and sell it. They came over here with literally nothing, 2 suitcases and clothes. And so he's always worked really hard. I told him, find something to do, but he never did. And he started getting this thing with, they call it a frozen shoulder, and his arm just stopped working. And to me, it seemed such a clear psychosomatic sort of manifestation of this thing. Like these hands are made for working. Like idleness is just such a dangerous thing. And his own body was sort of like, if you're not going to use that hand, we're not going to use it as well. And he felt it was sudden in this, from his birthday to a month later, where he went downhill so fast. And I was like, holy shit, it's that Bitcoin thing of gradually then suddenly, right? Yeah. It's been this slow decline for so many years, and then it's just kind of fallen off this cliff. And yeah, that's kind of all to say that like my dad's been this, in a sad way, this great counterexample on, how not to live, and he's been, just a negative person, and I've always tried to be positive and just keep busy and create stuff and produce stuff. So yeah, it's a kind of rambly way to say all that, but yeah.
No, listen, I guess it's great advice. Just keep your mind active, enjoy what you do, appreciate what you've got. Yes, save for the future, but also, appreciate what you have, because it's not always there. It won't always be there.
Indeed.
Yeah, and thank you for being so open as well, mate. Like that. Yeah, it's not easy stuff to talk about, but
yeah, but like life is short, and I had like some of these things I could be embarrassed to be airing publicly and stuff, but I think becoming a parent as well changes that sort of thing. Like I don't really give a fuck what people think about me anymore. Like it's only me and my daughter and my family, my close friends, and like I know who I am, and I'm, as a young 20-year-old, you don't know who you are. Maybe I'm happy with who I am now, and if people don't like it, they can go get fucked. So it doesn't matter.
It's a shame that it sort of takes. We're sort of similar ages, and it's a shame that it takes to this point to kind of get there. I'd love to have been here at 22. I wasn't here at 22, but maybe.
Mate, I would have known how to talk to girls.
You can't talk to girls. Don't get us on.
Yeah, true.
Mate, thank you.
Yeah.
That's been
thanks.
That's been fantastic. If somebody wants to get in touch or wants to go and have a look at the work, Twitter feed?
Yeah, just at Star Fury Flames on Twitter. You can scroll through all the history of stuff, and yeah, there'll be more stuff there in the future. So like I said, 2022 is going to be a big year. So
I'm sure it is. Guys, go and check it out. It's wonderful. My daughter, her review was, "Oh my god, that's amazing." So
Yeah.
Take
Awesome.
that, take that for what it is, mate.
Yeah,
That's an honest review.
And I actually think a lot of people would know Sven's work, but just don't know that it's Sven's.
Yeah.
And
that's
I've had this thought that if like Bitcoin goes where we think and hope it might be going, then like, in the Bitcoin museums 50 or 100 years from now, who knows, like maybe there'll be some of my memes on the walls there, so I can achieve my immortality that way.
But I don't know. I think that we laugh at these things, but I think it's important. Like to leave, it doesn't matter what it is, and people don't need to know about it. But if you feel that you've left some mark or legacy or whatever it is, that it was something that was important to you that other people can carry forward, I think that's hugely important, and people shouldn't feel afraid or embarrassed to just go do you. Go do you, and whatever that is, that's okay. And if people don't like it, that's also okay. It's a big world out there, and you'll find your tribe.
Indeed.
Awesome.
Love it, man.
Thanks,
Love it.
mate.
Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that.
No, thank you guys.
Hey guys, if you've made it this far, thanks so much for listening. The plan with the pod is to do sort of guests one week and myself and Brendo the other week, so hopefully that's working for you. If you don't like one of them, just listen to the one you do like. If you want a little bit more information from us, you can find it at bitcoin-first.com/learn.